In order to encourage and facilitate more voters to partake in the Osun State election, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) extended the collection of permanent voter cards to July 14th, which was yesterday, for those interested in exercising their franchise in the Osun governorship election. The electoral body has also vowed to ensure a transparent and credible governorship election on Saturday. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, said the commission has listened to stakeholders across the board who emphasize transparency, inclusivity, and credibility of the election, as well as security and peaceful conduct of the exercise. Joining us on the show this morning as we discuss INEC's readiness for Saturday's election is Festus Okoye, INEC National Electoral Commissioner for Information and Voter Education. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, Dr. Okoye, good to have you on the program again. Well, I know INEC has been saying we are prepared. Non-sensitive materials have been deployed to all the 332 wards, to all the 30 local governments and all of that. But let's go straight to the issues. When Professor Mahmood Yakubu attended that election stakeholders meeting in Osun, he pointed out that 76% of registered voters have collected their PVCs. But we still have over 400,000 persons, quite a substantial number, that did not collect their PVCs. And INEC was going to deploy resources and logistics to ensure that by yesterday, that those who have not collected in the 30 local government areas will be able to pick up their PVCs ahead of Saturday's election. What's the situation with regard to that? Was there a turnout, a rush to pick up the PVCs? How many people did? What's the position now?
Well, the chairman did make it very clear that as at the 12th day of July 2022, over 76% of the registered voters in Osun State had picked up their permanent voters card. And as at the time we left Osun State, people were still streaming in to go and pick up their permanent voters card. So our estimation is that as at the time we closed yesterday, over maybe close to 80% of all the registered voters will have picked up their permanent voters cards. By today, we are going to segregate those who have picked up their permanent voters cards in terms of local governments and also in terms of the polling units, so that all the stakeholders we know the number of people who are eligible to vote on Saturday, and also the number of permanent voters cards that have been collected for each local government and for each polling unit. And then the rest of the ones that have not been collected will be quarantined until the elections are over. So that's the situation as of today.
Well, it's important to stress that INEC generously extended collection of PVCs, not registration. So, because I've seen a few people getting confused about that. Collection is completely different from registration. I just have to stress that. So, in general, what have you found with regards to logistics for Saturday? The usual complaints with regards to INEC have dwindled recently, as you must be extremely proud of. Polling stations tend to open early. BVAS, yes, there are one or two malfunctions, but, you know, it's all working out really well. Can you just take us through your preparations for Saturday and what the public can expect?
Well, as you know, between the 3rd day of July 2022 and the 7th day of July 2022, the chairman of the commission with other national commissioners were in Osun State on what we call readiness assessment. We visited over 5 local government areas of Osun State and then looked at the batching of the non-sensitive materials in readiness for the election. And we were satisfied with the level of work which our electoral officers had done in terms of getting all the non-sensitive materials ready. The commission also visited the places where our ad hoc staff were being trained in terms of the supervisory presiding officers, the presiding officers, and assistant presiding officers. And the training was quite intense. And we were happy with the level of things that had been done. We had series of meetings with traditional rulers. We had meetings with the leadership of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, both at the national level and also at the state level. And then thereafter, on the on the 12th day of July, the chairman convened a stakeholders meeting where we met with all the security agencies, political parties, civil society groups and organizations, traditional rulers, and so on. And then thereafter, on Wednesday, the 13th, a peace accord was signed by the candidates and the political parties. On the 12th, also, the sensitive materials required for the conduct of the Osun governorship election was flown in by the Nigerian Air Force into Akure Airport, and they were moved to our state office under heavy security. And then yesterday, all the political parties and civil society groups inspected the sensitive materials, and they were deployed to the various local government areas yesterday. So the forward movement from the state office to the various local governments has been completed. The sensitive materials have been moved, the beavers has been moved, and all the materials have been moved. So this morning, these materials will be, the sensitive materials will be batched in accordance with the registration areas, and then they will move to the 211 super racks and super registration areas that we have established in readiness for Saturday. So in terms of our own preparations, in terms of our own logistics, we are ready for the election.
The case of using, and I've got two questions. Number one, the case of using public transport or National Union of Road Transport Workers to move materials from place to place comes up again because we have seen open affiliation with that organization and their members and some political parties. So how do you make justification? Is that the best we can do in terms of logistics? Because you always see open affiliation with that NURTW and some political parties. Secondly, there's a video making the rounds as regards some buried PVCs. Has INEC investigated?
Well, in relation to your first question, as at today, that is the only option we have. For the Osun governorship election, we are going to move over 15,616 ad hoc staff to the various pulley units. And we are not only going to move these ad hoc staff, we're also going to move materials. The security officers that are going to superintend the election will also be moved. So in terms of transportation, in terms of logistics, it's a huge logistics challenge. And what we normally do is that the leadership of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, both at the local government level and at the state level, only supervise their members. The commission signs contract with individual drivers. So each driver that we engage, we sign an individual contract with the commission. And then the Federal Road Safety Commission also profiles the individual drivers and also makes sure that the transport they provide are in good condition. So as at now, that is the best we can offer. The leadership of the various unions only supervise their members to make sure that they adhere to the individual contracts we sign with the individual drivers in relation to the movement of election materials and election personnel. In terms of the video you talked about, we saw the video. We convened an emergency meeting of the commission yesterday on arrival from Osun State, and we have directed our state office in Rivers to commence investigation, and the matter has also been reported to the police. And the chairman has assured that we are going to leave no stone unturned in making sure that we get to the root of that particular situation. And we have also appealed to those who claim that they found these permanent voters' cards to return them to the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission, either at the state level or at the local government level. But thorough investigation is ongoing, and we are going to get to the root of that particular matter.
Well, let me ask you two things. In recent times, we have seen cases of attacks on INEC offices. From your investigations, what do you think is responsible for this fresh round of attacks on INEC locations? And then the PVC incident in Imo State. Thousands of PVCs found buried underground. That was reported now. The story is almost more than 24 hours. Now, what have you been able to, discover with preliminary, investigations? I mean, how did permanent voters' cards end up in some drainage somewhere? Considering the fact that this is the main thing that everybody is saying, go and get your PVC and vote. Who could have dumped thousands of PVCs inside the drainage?
Well, in relation to the PVCs, the first challenge we had was that when the video started trending, there was no location in relation to where the incident took place. There was speculation that the incident took place in Imo State. There was speculation that the incident took place in Rivers State. But later, when we commenced our own investigation and when we reported the matter to the various security agencies, the location was zeroed into to Rivers State. And then we have appealed to those who found the PVCs to tell us the location, the exact location where these PVCs were found, so that we can also get to the root of this particular matter. We have also appealed to them, appealed to their patriotic instinct and patriotic conscience to return those PVCs to the commission, so that we can commence full investigation on how those PVCs got to where they got to, and also whether those PVCs were also located in the house of a politically exposed person. We are commencing investigation. Our initial reaction and our initial thought was that the incident took place in Imo State, but later it was zeroed on. It was found out that the incident took place in Rivers State, and we have commenced a full investigation into the circumstances that led to those PVCs being there. And I'm sure that the moment we get additional information and the moment we make a breakthrough, the Commission will issue a statement or give an update on what it is doing in relation to that particular incident. In relation to the attacks on INEC offices and INEC facilities and also INEC personnel, we just want to see some of these incidents as a one-off thing that is not related with the 2023 general election. But in the incident that was reported, we reported yesterday that took place in Enugu State. Some of the people that were shooting into the air and chasing away some of our ad hoc staff who were conducting registration claimed that they didn't want election to take place in the place. But the various communities are doing their best. Even the place where our staff was attacked, the communities provided the services of the vigilante groups who were protecting some of our staff. Unfortunately, the people who came were fully armed, and the vigilantes could not withstand the firepower of those who came, and so they injured some of our staff, smashed our IVED machines, and then dispersed people. So we have stopped registration in that particular ward, and then we have moved the registration to the local government area. So we want to see these incidents as isolated, but we want the security agencies to provide a very good environment that will enable the Nigerian people to register, and also enable our officials to carry out their duties without any form of molestation.
Talking about a generally secure environment, or are you asking for security officials to be posted to INEC staff specifically? In terms of protecting our INEC staff in the performance of their duties, in some of the states, they are accompanied by security officers. In some of the states, the INEC offices have clustered some of the polling units and created registration centers where police officers and the DSS and other security agencies give some level of protection. But given the number of persons who are coming for registration, we felt that it was better and neater to deploy to the various registration areas for purposes of making it taking the thing closer to the people. So the number of security personnel attached to some of our officers in the various registration areas is not sufficient. So the various communities provide some services in terms of vigilante services and so on. But that is not enough. But it's not a generalized thing. And we are managing the situation. And we hope that those who are trying to prevent us from getting Nigerians to register will see reason and stop their harassment of officials of the commission.
Two questions. A lot of people are still asking, but why will one bus driver sign a contract with an entire commission, INEC, as regards moving sensitive electoral materials from point A to point B? One bus driver, and you say it's just supervised by the NURTW. Is that not leaving our elections in jeopardy? Because I'm even more scared now by your revelation that you sign individual contracts and would like to have an audit, if possible, of all the drivers you sign individual contracts with. Let's even know them, because you said some people are profiling them. A lot of Nigerians will argue with you that we don't respect the profiling of the Federal Road Safety Commission and the likes. And secondly, I'm concerned about results in these Osun elections. Everything like the last Ekiti elections, will it go to, the system, the server? And why is it that it is only select people that the API to those servers have been given? Why can't it be everywhere so that any Nigerian from anywhere can see what is happening in real time as those results trickle in?
Well, in relation to your first question, we harvest these bus drivers based on the various local government areas. So the contract for each local government is signed on behalf of the commission by the electoral officer. And then each bus driver is sometimes assigned to only one registration area. And in Osun State, we have 332 registration areas. So it serves maybe just a cluster of polling units. So it is what the drivers move are just the electoral personnel, the police officers attached to various polling units, and also the election materials. And these election materials and election personnel are also accompanied by the representatives of all the registered political parties who have submitted the list of their party agents. So they accompany these drivers, these materials, this ad hoc staff, and this police personnel that superintend the elections to the registration area centers. And from the registration areas, they also accompany them to the various polling units on election day. So everything is in the open. So we don't entertain any fear whatsoever in relation to their performance. The only issue we have sometimes relates to some of them not arriving the registration area centers on time and then moving the materials to the registration areas on time. And also in terms of our reverse logistics after elections, sometimes some of them do not turn up for reverse logistics. So what we have done as an electoral management body is also to mop up vehicles from the states contiguous to Osun State, so that the moment there's any challenge in any polling unit, we can intervene and intervene decisively. So we don't entertain any fear in relation to the issue you have raised. On the issue of the INEC Result Viewing Portal, if you want to get into the internet, you must have an internet address, you must have a telephone number, you must have data in your phone. So anybody who has data, anybody who has who wants to log in, should just go into the Commission's INEC Result Viewing Portal, and the person will just log on and view the results in real time. So it is open to all Nigerians who have data, who have a smartphone, and who are interested. So nobody is restricted from viewing the INEC Result Viewing Portal. Almost all the political parties have a situation room. Even by the time elections are coming to an end, some of them already know the results of the election, even before it gets to the registration area center and before it gets to the various local governments. And moreover, it is obligatory and it's mandatory for the presiding officer to fill in from EC8A, which is the polling unit level result, and sign and countersign, and it will also be the presiding officer will sign and stamp, and it will be countersigned by the pool agents or party agents where available, and a copy given to them. So any serious political party that has deployed polling agents to the 3,763 polling units in Osun State will even know the results even before the results get to the registration area center. So everything is in the open. This commission is transparent because this commission is a public trust. We are not going to betray the confidence reposed on us by the Nigerian people.
Asking about the API for that portal so people can integrate with their own platforms for proper monitoring. I'm not sure the API is in the open.
Well, issues around technology can be slightly tricky. I can only tell you issues around technology that I understand. What I understand is that anybody can log into the INEC Resolve Vim portal. Anybody who has an email account, anybody who has a smartphone, and anybody who has data, and then view the results as they come in. That is the extent of my own knowledge of the process and the procedure and the protocol relating to the INEC Resolve Vim portal.
Quickly, we have just a few minutes left. One of the papers today reported that the People's Democratic Party has gone to court to compare INEC to reject the announcement of Dr. Dati Baba Ahmed as the running mate to Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party. And by the same token, Alhaji Kabiru Masari as running mate to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And they are asking the court for an interpretation of Section 142, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution and Sections 29, 31, and 33 of the Electoral Act. Because in their consideration, there is no placeholder provision in the Electoral Act, and that both Masari and Donyo Okupe will remain as the running mates. And if the candidates go ahead, they insist that INEC must disqualify those persons that first announced running mates. What do you think? I know you addressed this before. Has INEC been served? Have you received any notice from the court?
Well, the chairman and myself and other national commissioners, we came in from Osun State yesterday, and the moment we came back, we went into an emergency meeting to address the issue of those uncollected those PVCs that were found in inappropriate locations. So I'm not aware of whether we've been served with any document relating to any suit of the completion you have talked about. But let me just say this: one, that if a matter is in court, the matter is sub judice, and we are not supposed to comment on it. But secondly, I had addressed the question that when political parties submitted the names of their presidential candidates and their vice presidential candidates, there was no provision for a placeholder in the forms they submitted. They submitted the forms for their presidential candidates, and they submitted the forms for their vice presidential candidates, and that is the situation. However, if you look at section 33 of the Electoral Act 2022, it says that a political party shall not be allowed to change or substitute his candidate whose name has been submitted under section 29 of the Electoral Act, except in the case of death or withdrawal by the candidate. But he goes ahead to say that provided that in the case of such a withdrawal or death of a candidate, the political party affected shall, within 14 days of the occurrence of the event, hold a fresh primary election to produce and submit a fresh candidate to the commission for the election concerned. This is the particular provision we are following. And in the case of senatorial candidates, in the case of House of Representative candidates, and so on and so forth, it is mandatory for them to hold fresh party primaries on the withdrawal of their candidate. But in the case of a presidential candidate and in the case of a governorship candidate, the political parties nominate a vice presidential candidate and also a deputy governorship candidate. Whether they are candidates or not, and whether they are supposed to go into the fresh 14-day primaries, I'm not in a position to make a determination in relation to that.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Festus Okoye.